So as we move into this second race of the day here at Brands Hatch, just to reaffirm the points for you, Tom Ingram ahead of Ash Sutton now by 37 points in the main championship. We still have, of course, the Manufacturers and Constructors Championship to be decided between Alliance Racing Ford and Accelerate Motorsport Hyundai. Those teams separated by 8 points at the minute. In terms of the BTCC Teams Championship, there's 11 points between, again, Napa Racing and Team Virtue. All to be decided, we reckon, in the final race of the weekend for the independents. Currently there are 16 points between the top three. It's Dan Lloyd ahead by 10 from Mikey Doble, and Dan's teammate Chris Smiley sits there 16 points back at the minute. And of course we also have the Jack Sears Trophy to focus on. Charles Rainford went ahead of Daryl de Leon after that first race. He now heads in by 12 points, and it might be a hard task here, Josh, because we know Daryl's got to come from the back of the grid. Charles is up there towards the front, so it's looking like it might be an extended margin for Charles after this race.
That's certainly what Charles Rainford would like. Yeah. Daryl de Leon, he's had the misfortune this morning, so he will be hoping that's put behind him, and we might see a very much a fired up Daryl de Leon trying to come through the order to try and keep that Jack Sears Trophy hopes alive. Interestingly, just 2 drivers on softs, aren't there, in that top 10, and one of them is Tom Ingram, so could Tom Ingram do the business on a real high? It's a possibility. The other driver on a soft tyre in the top 10 is Gordon Shedden, so watch out for Ingram and Shedden, I think, during the course of this race, Matt.
Yeah, both of them going for glory in race number 2, where others are saving their chances for race number 3, the final win of the 2025 season. And of course we have the reverse grid to look forward to later on as well. Anywhere between 6 and 12 after this race where you finish could be the reversal for race number 3, so you want to be somewhere thereabouts to have a chance of doing that. But here we are once again, ready to go. 15 laps around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit for what's going to be round 29 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, all lined up in perfect formation, all cars there on the grid ready to go. Very shortly we'll have the green flag, which is now down. The red lights come on, and Dan Camish from pole position gets us away, but it's a better start from the outside with Tom Chilton. Already a good start from further back from Jake Hill in the BMW, but Tom Chilton's going to be pushed into the lead here possibly because Dan Camish can't quite hold the inside line, and Charles Rainford round the outside of 1, 2, maybe 3 cars. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside of Tom Chilton on the run in towards Druids Corner. So a fantastic start as always from the rear-wheel drive BMW, and he's been forced wide. Adam Morgan's had contact. We've got one of the Restart Racing Hyundais with a little bit of a sideways moment, but Adam Morgan, after doing the punting in race number 1, he has unfortunately been punted around slightly in race number 2.
Ash Sutton's already on the tail of Tom Ingram as they go down the Cooper Straight. It was a mega start from Sutton. He's right behind his championship rival now.
He certainly is, yep. So we've got all the Napa cars together there. They're ganging up on Tom Ingram as they work their way on towards the back straight for the first time. It's Camish who is trying to get onto the back of Ingram. We're on board with Sutton now on the big screens as he tries to push along his teammate Dan Camish down the back straight for the first time. But as you said, Josh, a blinding start from Ash Sutton now up into 5th place from down on the grid in 9th. He has his rear gunner, which is going to be that of Dan Rowbottom. And Ingram, of course, now on his soft tyre, is going to try and get past Charles Rainford after that blistering start. He sits there in 2nd place, but here come the Ford Focuses.
Yeah, they're all hunting as a pack, led by Dan Camish at this stage. Sutton's already been trying to pass him on the grass. Sutton would like to be the one to challenge Tom Ingram on this opening lap of the race, but a mega start to go from 9th to 5th in just a couple of corners from the multiple champion.
Yep, and they might want to start challenging soon, because once those soft tyres get into that range, Tom Ingram might very much be on his way. And of course he's got a little bit of helping hand in front of him, because Tom Chilton is your race leader. Ingram flashing the lights already on the rear of Charles Rainford. He goes for a move down at Paddock Hill Bend as a late lunge. He's going to try and get past the Team BMW machine of Charles Rainford, and that will be job done. So the Napa Racing Ford Focuses can't get past Tom Ingram. I think the first lap possibly was their best opportunity. It gets a little bit raucous further back as well. Gordon Shedden under pressure there from Senan Proctor. That's all over 7th position in this race. But the move is done. It's now Team Virtue that lead the way 1-2 with Chilton ahead of Ingram.
Yeah, so what can Tom Ingram do on those soft tyres? Ash Sutton's not been able to find a way past Dan Camish, interestingly, so they're still in 4th and 5th positions. Gap back to Dan Rowbottom in 6th. The other driver on soft, Gordon Shedden, didn't make any progress on that first lap. He's 7th, but Senan Proctor behind him did. He's on softs. He gained 5 places. Camish has now stepped aside, so Ash Sutton goes up to 4th.
He certainly does, yep. So Sutton round the outside fairly easily there. As you said, not really putting up a fight is Dan Rowbottom, although he's still in his own fight for third within the championship. And for now, he does find himself ahead of Dan Camish, and also the other man trying to get third place away is Jake Hill. But he's got lots of work to do from the back of the grid. Already, though, up 5 places on that first lap. So 14th place now for the BMW of Jake Hill. Sits currently ahead of the car of what looks to be Adam Morgan, as we might have a switch here for the race lead, because Tom Chilton is now under pressure from Tom Ingram. Is this going to be an easy move to move our championship leader into the lead of the race? I don't think Tom Chilton will fight it too much if Ingram does go for a move, which I think could be on the cards down towards Paddock Hill Bend. No, Tom Chilton fights it a little bit as he sits middle of the road there. So Chilton still leads from Ingram. The gap down, though, to just under 0.2 of a second. And they can't really mess about too much longer, because Charles Rainford will get very much into this.
That's right. From a championship point of view, Tom Ingram doesn't need to win this race, but if the battle pack starts to come it gets a bit bigger, which it's starting to already, as you say, there it runs that risk if something will happen. Now I think the lead change is about to happen.
It is, yep. Ingram down the inside line, so that will give him the maximum points he could possibly score from this race. He'll lead a lap. He'll also possibly win the race, and he might be on for a fastest lap as well. So that's how it stands currently in this race. So what was 37 points is now starting to build further and further. It should be up to somewhere like 45 points now between the top 2 in the championship, although Sutton looks like he might be able to pass a few cars as well on his medium tyre. He's got Charles Rainford now just up the road from him as they work their way through the right-hander of Westfield for what's going to be the third time of asking, and it is Ingram actually who is on the quickest lap of the race, so he would be getting that extra point at the minute as well.
In the independents, Dan Lloyd's had an awful start. He was describing to Alan how good his start was in race 1. He's all the way down to 17th is Dan Lloyd. He's still second in the independents, but Chris Smiley now the independent leader. Lloyd is second. Mikey Doble's dropped to 4th behind Dexter Patterson.
It certainly has, yep. So Chris Smiley is on the medium, Mikey Doble is on the medium, and Dan Lloyd is on the medium. So they're all on the same tyre, but as you suggested, Josh, not the best of starts for Dan Lloyd. So some work to do for him as he sits now second in that category behind his teammate, but he is still ahead of Mikey Doble, which is some sort of relief from this race so far, as the pack now stream its way through Paddock Hill Bend. Up towards Druids we go, with Ingram, your leader, ahead of Chilton. Rainford sits there in the BMW in 3rd position. Then you've got Sutton in 4th. You've got Robo in 5th place and Camish in 6th. And now Shedden starting to pick up the pace as well, which is another driver inside the top 10 on soft tyres. You'd expect him to be quick as well. So Shedden has a little bit of a nibble, but nothing really coming of that as he works his way further onto the rear of Dan Rowbottom. And further back, Josh, we talked about the independents. Well, the battle is very much on, because Mikey Doble up against the BMW loses a place to Daryl DeLeon, but in turn he's also losing ground to the car ahead, which is Dan Lloyd.
Yeah, that's right. Between them is Dexter Patterson, and a place gain for Mikey Doble would be good. A big challenge on the Grand Prix loop from Ash Sutton, who dives down the inside of Charles Rainford into Westfield. Mega move from Ash Sutton to get himself up into 3rd place.
And that all came as Charles Rainford made a mistake, and also goes through there as well the car of what's going to be Dan Camish. So 2 of the Napa Racing Fords go now through, as Robo is going to be trying to look for the inside line as well. He dives down the inside, so he gets the job done, and all 3 Napa Racing Ford Focuses pass Charles Rainford. So as you depose 1, in fact, Charles Rainford's going to lose a new further 2 places here, because both Senna Proctor and also Gordon Shedden have now gone through. Replay, Rainford slightly wide through the corner. The back end was wanting to step out, and Sutton needed no second invitation to get through, and Rainford gets a bit of a hit in the rear there, and he goes sideways in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Charles Rainford, unfortunately, after running in 4th place, is into the barrier at Paddock Hill Bend. He almost went up onto the side of the car. It just came to a grounding hole into the Recticel barrier, but for Charles Rainford, that was very unlucky, as Aaron Taylor-Smith just swiped from one side of the circuit to the other, and unfortunately just caught the rear of Charles Rainford's BMW. And
that changes everything in the Jack Sears Trophy point standings, because of course Daryl DeLeon, who lost out in race number 1, fell behind Daryl DeLeon on the behind Charles Rainford in the championship. That's going to change around again. Our current Jack Sears Trophy leader in the race is Sam Osborne, but Daryl DeLeon up to 2nd.
And we are going to go safety car as well, which is no surprise. So the first safety car in a BTCC race this weekend, and Charles Rainford actually will struggle to get out in the car, because the car is at such an angle that it's actually dug itself on the driver's side into the gravel. So the door for now does not open, but Charles, by the looks of what we can see, is absolutely fine. He just wants to get out the car and really forget what's just happened in this second race. We'll get a replay of that very shortly on the big screens around the circuit, but for now we take a slight breather. Things come under a reduced race in terms of the pace, and Tom Ingram, you can imagine what he's going through at the minute. He's looking every single way he can. Mirrors, dashboard, side mirrors, down to anything that you might hear rattling in the car to cause a problem. But for now, he's in the prime position, isn't he? Out front, leads the race. He's got a bit of a buffer behind with his teammate. But under all of this, Charles Rainford is out the race and to be recovered from Paddock Hill Bend.
It just shows you when you get on the wrong line, as Charles Rainford was after that slide, how many positions you start losing, and then it all built up to that incident at Paddock Hill Bend that you described. Matt Rainford was defending on the inside. Taylor Smith had a big moment on the bump heading up towards Paddock Hill Bend, and that caught him out, and then that tapped the tail of Charles Rainford's car, which lost control of the BMW and was heading for the gravel. And the twists and turns in that Jack Sears Trophy Points Championship today has been very extreme for those two West Surrey racing drivers. Yeah, and of course the camber on the circuit down towards Paddock Hill Bend doesn't really show on the TV screens. It's only until you come here to the circuit and experience it, whether you walk on it or see it up close and personal, that really is a bit of a decline down on the Brabham Straight. So with Taylor Smith trying to get to the inside and also break in off camber, that really did unsettle the car. So a little bit unlucky in a way for Charles Rainford, and Aaron Taylor Smith might be feeling slightly guilty about that, but for now he does carry on in the race, whereas Charles Rainford, as we said, is out. So it's been one of those days for BMW, hasn't it? Yesterday seems to be really good. Practice and qualifying pace was very much there. Race number one, it was Moffat, Hill and also De Leon who had their dramas, and lo and behold, race two, it's the other driver, Rainford, who has the dramas this time around. Yeah, that's right. Jake Hill's up to 10th, by the way, in this race, so he's making good progress, perhaps building for what could be his last ever race in the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. Can he get the reverse grid droid light? There could be a big story developing there as well, coming to the end of the day. More replays on the big screens for you. At the moment, that mega start from Charles Rainford on board with Tom Ingram as Rainford went round the outside of everyone. It started so well, didn't it, for Charles Rainford, and it just then unravelled a few laps later. What happened to Adam Morgan up towards the Druid hairpin? Because we saw him go for a spin. It was a Napa Racing car, I think, Dan Rowbottom, that made a brush with Adam Morgan. Of course, it was those two drivers who had contact in race one this morning. You said something might build up there, and perhaps it had. Here's the start from Ash Sutton. It was really good off the line and just got better and better from there. And sometimes you don't find the gaps, do you? But for Sutton, he found the gap on the outside of Shedden. He then saw the rub between what was going to be Ingram and Rowbottom in towards the first corner at Paddock Hill Bend. He thought, I'm going to try and stay out of this one. So he goes to the outside line where Adam Morgan's about to be tipped into his spin. The door then opens up on the inside where he tries to get down his teammate Dan Rowbottom. He then thinks, I don't really want to be involved in this one either, because it could all unfold at Graham Hill Bend, which it tended to do, and then all of a sudden the kind of track parted ways. His teammate were on the inside, the Charles Rainford BMW was defending, and then he got right to the tail of Ingram. He almost made a little bit of contact, and then it was too wide through that corner. Camis lost his ability to accelerate, really, and then Camis tried to close the door and maybe not really realising that his teammate was there, and almost there was contact between them. But they all survived, and Sutton, for now, sits in this race inside the top three. Camis from pole, Sutton from ninth. They were together after 4 corners, so that really tells two very different stories how their races started. Dan Camis may not have fully realised that it was Ash Sutton, as you say, behind him, because that was quite the start from the 4-time champion. The point situation might not be going Ash Sutton's way this weekend, but he's still proving why he's a 4-time champion, and a podium is beckoning. What can he do on this restart? I think Domingo's probably quite pleased his teammate is between himself and Ash Sutton at this stage. Yeah, it certainly does help, doesn't it? So always nice to have a little bit of a buffer behind you, and that is exactly what Tom Ingram has got, with an extended championship lead as it currently stands at 45 points in this race. We can see now that Charles Rainford's car has been recovered from Paddock Hill Bend, but there won't be slightly enough time to get those lights out and into the pit lane. We've got to get the telehandler back to its place of safety. Rector barrier all in place, which is good. And in terms of the Jack Sears, there's now 5 points between Daryl De Leon and Charles Rainford. So it swung one way in race number 1, it swings back the other way in race number 2, but this time in the favour of Daryl De Leon. And I think the Independence Championship, if it stays as it is, Lloyd, Smiley and Doble will all still be in contention going into that final round of the championship, round 30. So the Independence Championship tightly poised as it stands, as is the Jack Sears Trophy. Just 5 points, I think, as you said, between the two BMW drivers. So there are at least those two championships very much to be decided right to the final lap, I think, in round 30.
Yep, should indeed be so. Yep, 3 drivers in contention for the Independents. 14 points is what separates Lloyd from Smiley from Doble. So that's how that currently looks. Just to say, if you're out there on circuit and you can see a kind of light panel on the side of the car, that is an indication of, firstly, tyres. If the rectangle you see is going to be white, that is a soft tyre on the car. If it's a yellow rectangle, then that is going to be a medium tyre on the car. You'll also see some light panels illuminating. If it goes green, that's when a driver is on the boost, which gives them extra power within the race. And of course, wherever you finished in race number 1, it changes from how high you finished to how low you were. So the maximum you have for this race is 8 laps, whereas the winner, Dan Camish, only had the 1 lap for this. So that is the green flashing light. You've got the white flashing light, which is your depletion for that lap. So that means when your boosters completely run out for the lap, and then if it goes red, that means that your boosters run out for the completion of that race. So if it goes red, they've got none to use for the rest of the race. But we've still got a few up there with plenty of boost in hand. We've got Ingram with 4 laps. You've got Chilton with the 1 lap, so he's not got too much. You've got Sutton in a very strong position, I'd say. He's got 6 laps of boost still left.
Safety car, I think, has turned its lights out, so it should be in at the end of this lap, and Tom Ingram will control the pace until the acceleration zone, and once he gets into that acceleration zone, they will head to the line and complete lap number 8 of what should be up to an hour and 18 lap race.
Here we go then, restart zone for Tom Ingram. He floors it now when everyone else goes with him. Ash Sutton made a good start here, so he might be able to challenge Tom Chilton, and they want to try and get the job done as quick as possible. They're all starting to queue up, and again, Aaron Taylor-Smith, a big lunge down the inside of his teammate this time, so that's all getting a bit fractious, and Jake Hill takes advantage of both of those. So down the inside line goes Jake Hill. That, in fact, was, I think, Josh Cook making the move on Aaron Taylor-Smith, so that was very bargy again through the first corner, but you've got a very, very long line now starting to form from second on backwards. Jake Hill's about to come under pressure once again down towards Graham Hill Bend as the car of Aaron Taylor-Smith gets back alongside, and Jake Hill also has his company from his teammate, because Aidan Moffat in the number 16 machine is not too far back as well. So BMWs, after that poor race 1, now starting to make progress.
Yes, he's all quite feisty from Aaron Taylor-Smith, isn't it? Went down the inside of Josh Cook, now he's rubbing door panels with the reigning champion, Jake Hill, as they head down towards Hawthorne Bend, where Tom Ingram is pulling away from the pack. He's getting a gap between himself and Tom Chilton. Ash Sutton is still 3rd, Dan Camish is 4th. There's challenges behind us. Senna Proctor's all over the back of Gordon Shedden through Westfield Bend, and then behind them, the Toyota teammates are getting themselves back together as Josh Cook would like to get that position back that he lost to Aaron Taylor-Smith a moment ago.
Yeah, Ash Sutton still working his magic on the back of Tom Chilton as they turn the way down towards the left-hander of Sterling's. He'll be hoping for a mistake from that Team Virtue Hyundai, but at the minute that is not currently coming from the man who sits there in 2nd place. And look at the gap now between the top 2, because Tom Chilton is doing what he needs to do. He's keeping Ash Sutton at bay. He's got the other 2 Napa Racing Ford Focuses behind, which are still that of Dan Camish and Dan Rowbottom, and there could be a move on here from Gordon Shedden, who gets closer and closer and closer in towards Paddock Hill Bend, just manages to get the car stopped but doesn't go through. And again, the 2 Toyota Gazoo Toyotas are side by side, and on this occasion we're going to be nose to tail, almost side by side up towards the right-hander of Druids, and there is contact this time, and it's teammate on teammate. It's Aaron Taylor-Smith who gets spun across the track. He goes heavily into the barriers up towards Druids, and it was Josh Cook who again had the inside line, and whether Aaron Taylor-Smith came across or Josh Cook was being too squeezed, we're not too sure there, but whatever it is, the first rule of racing, never take out your teammate.
It was building up, wasn't it, ever from the safety car restart between those 2 drivers, and it's ended with Aaron Taylor-Smith off and out of the race. Meanwhile, Gordon Shedden's got himself past Dan Rowbottom as we get into the safety car period. Side by side, Dan Rowbottom and Senna Proctor. And I think Dan Rowbottom was just nosing ahead, so he will stay in front. But the second safety car then of this race with Aaron Taylor-Smith in the gravel at the Druids Hairpin. The Independence order, well, Chris Smiley still leads the race. Dan Lloyd is 2nd, but Mikey Doble had just got past Dexter Patterson, so Mikey Doble up to 3rd.
So Aaron Taylor-Smith, one of those drivers who has not taken a win so far this year in the BTCC. We thought we might get another one to add to the 12 we've had so far this year, but for Aaron Taylor-Smith, that might be a hard task from the back of the grid In race number 3, in replay, this is how it was all building up. Firstly, through Stirling's, Josh Cook just nibbling the back of Aaron Taylor-Smith, which lost a part of the rear bumper as that went off the circuit. And then, of course, it continued, as we said, through Paddock Hill Bend. Josh Cook to the inside. Josh Cook didn't really have any more grass to go to, did he? So whether Aaron Taylor-Smith should have left a little bit more room, it's all about how far your car is up alongside, which, to be fair as well, Josh Cook didn't have enough alongside in a way. So it's kind of one of those things, half of one, half of the other.
Maybe the Toyota Gazoo garage is one just to stay a few metres away from over the next hour or so here at Brands Hatch.
Is that a dare?
Go on now. It's finals day. So Aaron Taylor-Smith trudges away, which is a real shame for him. As we said, he's had a great season with some good results, but as we mentioned, not the win he was hoping for. And Tom Chilton has stopped over at Druids as well. So the man who was in second place has pulled off for some reason.
Well, this is not what Team Virtue would like, because all of a sudden the two championship contenders are going to be together on the track. Tom Ingram and Ash Sutton for the restart. Maybe this championship battle isn't quite over yet.
And who's behind Ash Sutton? His two teammates, which are Dan Camish and Rowbottom. We've got Shedden ahead, though, of Rowbottom. That happened just before the safety car came out, by the looks of it. So Shedden now up into 5th position. We can see the eyes of Ash Sutton inside the car there. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of words being said on the radio. There's also maybe some worry down in Team Virtue, because if there's a problem for Tom Chilton, could there potentially be an issue for the other cars as well?
Question mark alternator.
Oh, okay.
He's managing to pull off the circuit at Graham Hill Bend, but whether the car's got enough power to climb the hill and go through the gate, or this might be an elongated safety car. Replays on the big screen of Tom Chilton starting to slow. It all started at the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. Ash Sutton held back, not knowing what was quite going on at this point. When Tom Chilton pulled off the circuit, that was when Ash Sutton knew he could go through.
Yeah, Ash Sutton was probably thinking, I don't want to go past, I might get a penalty. But as you said, as soon as he pulled off the circuit completely, that was his indication to go through. So the order has shuffled once more. Tom Chilton has pulled off through the back entrance of the pit lane, so he's just now waiting to be recovered by the trackside recovery team, who are on hand very quickly indeed. We also have the Aaron Taylor-Smith car still to be recovered, which is in the process of the marshals and the telehandler over there at what's going to be Druids Corner. And of course, with Tom Chilton now out of second place, of course Ash Sutton picks up a few more points, so we're down to 42 again, although it has gone up since the start of this race where it was 37, so it ebbs and flows once again. But I think Tom Ingram's going to have to be on his toes for this restart, because as I said, there's some feisty drivers behind, none other than Ash Sutton.
Yes, one thing that Tom Ingram can't afford here really is a non-finish. He can afford for Ash Sutton to go through and him finish second. That's fine. He will still provisionally have enough points to claim the title, but one thing he cannot afford to do is for it to really be a big battle that causes a problem for Tom Ingram. And Ash Sutton has 3 extra laps of boost to use over the remaining laps of the race. The recovery, I can tell you, is continuing up at Druids, so we are going to remain under the safety car for a little bit longer yet. So Tom Ingram leads the way.
I don't want to be the one that brings tales of doom and gloom, but you know it's become a little bit cloudy here and a bit more breezy. This is far from over.
What did Ash want when he spoke to you this morning, Alan?
Oh, yes, he does.
Yeah, a bit of rain could be on the horizon. Who knows?
Might be,
one?
It might be.
The weather gods might be shining down. He did say he needs some lady luck this weekend, so that could be the lady luck he's looking for. But yeah, Ash Sutton there in second place at the minute as he sits behind Tom Ingram. And under that first safety car, we did add the maximum amount of laps we can add under a safety car. So the 3 have already been added, so every lap we go through now is going to be counted during this race. So it's a 15 lap originally, now out to 18 laps. We are on lap number 12 as it stands, that one to be completed, so there's going to be 6 at the end of this one, and then by the time we get back round we might have the safety car in at the end of the next lap, because Aaron Taylor-Smith's car is almost now clear of the gravel trap at Druids, so we reckon the lights might be extinguished next time through.
So that if that is the case, we'll have 5 laps of racing to go in round 29 of the 2025 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. The independence order, that's still Chris Smiley leading the way from Dan Lloyd and Mikey Doble. If it finishes like that, Dan Lloyd will have a 12-point advantage going into the final round of the championship, which is a nice place to be, but it's a place where the championship in the independents will be contested in round 30 of the season, and that's the same situation in the Jackson's Trophy, in the teams, in the constructors as well. But there's this possibility that provisionally the overall championship could be won in round 29, depending on what happens over the final 5 laps of this motor race, with Tom Ingram leading the way. Remember, he's on soft tyres, but the soft tyres have got more wear on perhaps than the medium tyres of Ash Sutton, so that could be an advantage to the driver behind, and he's got more laps of boost to use over the remaining tours of this Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. And Ash Sutton has been very, very rapid, Matt, over the course of this race.
Certainly has, yep. So Ash Sutton is going to push at this restart, which we're about to get as the safety car lights have gone off. We spoke earlier in the day about Tom Ingram, who has now surpassed his single season record in points, which was previously 413. He also tied the personal single season podium record, which was 17 for himself. He was 3 behind the all-time single season record of Ash Sutton, who in 2023 got 20 podiums to his name. Tom won't be able to do that here this weekend because, of course, he missed out in race number 1, but he could get to 19 if things go his way in race 2 and race 3. But we're about to come through to the restart zone again. We've got 5 laps to go at the end of this one. Tom Ingram not deciding to go just yet. He'll come through the restart zone now, and that's when you get the go board. And off they go once again with green flag, and it's going to be under pressure here for Dan Camish from Shedden and Rowbottom. There's almost contact between those two as well, as the door was being shut up against the Armco barrier, but Shedden's looking very feisty, and through has gone Senna Proctor as well. Jake Hill's going to get into the mix in the BMW. He gets also to the inside of the number 32 machine, so Robo now being ushered out wide. Shedden's a little bit wide of the corner in towards Druid, so Senna Proctor's going to pick up 2 places in the space of 2 corners. So let's see how he goes as he works his way through now into 4th place.
You can tell that it's the final day of the season in the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. Everyone's through those first few corners, but there was plenty going on, and it's been a very, very strong race from Senna Proctor on those soft tyres up into 4th position. Jake Hill, he's there in that battle as well in 7th place as they come out of Surtees Corner and head on to the Grand Prix loop. But it was a strong restart from Tom Ingram. He has managed to gap Ash Sutton with Dan Camish in 3rd place. At Senna Proctor on those soft tyres, can he get himself up onto the podium? He's right on the tail now, Dan Camish, as they go through Westfield Bend.
Yep, certainly does. So Proctor is pushing on these soft tyres very much to the edge of the circuit. There was that man in the number 18 machine, but Proctor looking here for a well-deserved podium on these soft tyres. As we said, a few drivers saving their soft tyres till the final race of the weekend to be the final winner possibly of the 2025 season. But Senna works his way now down off the Grand Prix circuit. Can he make a move towards the inside line? He's been a 2-time podium sitter so far this year. If he gets past Camish, that'll be number 3. But could he potentially get himself to a win? Probably not, because we know Ingram's on the soft tyre as well. And of course now Senna Proctor is coming under pressure from the next car behind him, which is going to be Gordon Shedden. So he lost that place a lap ago, and I'm slightly worried about Senna Proctor's left front bonnet there, because I think he's had a bit of contact and it might just start to be flapping now as Gordon Shedden almost gets to the inside in towards Drew. He's going to push him through the corner. He's going to have a look on the outside line down towards Graham Hill Bend, but Senna Proctor for now does have it covered.
Yeah, these two on soft tyres, Proctor and Shedden, so they both seemingly have the pace over Dan Camish, but Camish is defending well. The race 1 winner this weekend, Dan Camish, sits there in 3rd position as they turn through Surtees and head on to the Grand Prix loop for the 15th time of 18 laps in round 29 of the championship. Continuing to make progress, Daryl De Leon is getting very close now to Sam Osborne for the Jackson's Trophy leading position, and more points will be on the offer for Daryl De Leon should he find a way past the Sam Osborne driven car as they turn their way onto the Grand Prix loop through Westfield Corner. And Daryl De Leon on this lap might have lost a position overall, in fact, hasn't he, to Mikey Doble. So Daryl De Leon a little bit further away from Sam Osborne now. Yeah, he's also under pressure here from Dexter Patterson in the number 17 Cupra. So that is Daryl De Leon, who was making progress but now starting to suffer. Might not be able to get these tyres back up to temperature as quick as some of the front-wheel drive cars, although saying that, Jake Hill looking to make a move around the outside of Dan Rowbottom, who again gets a little bit loose on the rear end. So Jake Hill goes for the outside line. He'll be on the boost at the same time as well, and Jake Hill on home turf comes through in what's going to be 7th position. Doesn't quite get close enough to make a move in towards Paddock Hill Bend, but this has been an absolutely superb drive from Jake Hill, almost from the back of the grid. This is why he wears the number 1 after being the
champion from last season. He is there now, actually pushing along Dan Rowbottom, but he's still got the attentions of another very quick driver we've seen so far today, that being number 66, which is Josh Cook.
The top two drivers in the Independence Championship are nose to tail through Graham Hill Bend. Dan Lloyd versus Mikey Doble. Meanwhile, up the road, challenge for third position in the race as Senna Proctor dives down the inside of Dan Camish into Surtees corner and goes through. So Senna Proctor up into third place. Dan Camish is on the flasher as they come out of the corner, but that's not going to affect Senna Proctor. Proctor up to P3.
And here comes Hill as well, trying to get the defence going on Josh Cook, because he hasn't really stayed with Dan Rowbottom, unfortunately. So now Cook goes through up into what's going to be 7th position, and lurking in the background is going to be Hill's teammate, which is Aidan Moffat. So we've got the two BMWs at the minute running nose to tail, but this great effort that Senna Proctor has done to get through on Dan Camish. One of the reasons is probably because Dan Camish only had 1 lap of boost for this race. He's now used that because the side panel on the car has gone red, so none left for him, whereas Gordon Shedden still has what's going to be 6 laps of boost to go. So not many of the drivers have used their boost, mainly because we've had most of this race under safety cars. So there's still plenty in the tank for Tom Ingram and also for Ash Sutton, but for Dan Camish, as we said, he's now completely out.
And Gordon Shedden is all over the back of Dan Camish, heading up towards Paddock Hill Bend with 2 laps of the race to go. But Dan Camish hangs on for now, at least, to that 4th place position in the race. But as you say, no boost to go, where Shedden can use the boost on these final 2 laps. So that it really puts Dan Camish at a disadvantage.
It does indeed. Will he have a look down towards Graham Hill Bend? No, not really. I think in the more places where he'll want to use that is down the straights.
Down the inside into Graham Hill Bend. Mikey Doble up the inside of Dan Lloyd. The two Independence Championship rivals lean on each other as they head down the Cooper Straight and down towards Surtees for the next lap. And as they turn their way through Surtees Bend, through goes Mikey Doble up into 2nd place, and that will bring him a bit closer in the championship battle.
And Darryl De Leon took 2 places as well, didn't he? He's not in that battle for the Independents, but straight through he went. And of course that will help his hunt in terms of the Jack Sears Trophy as well. So that is still to be decided between himself and Charles Rainford. But as Josh described, Mikey Doble is now ahead, with Dan Lloyd looking to try and fight back. Those two drivers both on the medium tyre, so they are equal in terms of what they've got in terms of tyre wear. In terms of what they've got in terms of boost, well, Lloyd has got 6 laps and Doble has got 6 laps as well, so plenty still to be used. But what a wonderful move that was through Graham Hill Bend for Doble to get through on Dan Lloyd. We'll keep an eye on that, whilst Gordon Shedden now looking for the outside line on Dan Camish. In towards the final corner they come. Up towards the line goes Tom Ingram for the final lap to be started, and Shedden will squeeze his way through on the boost. He's got much more power across the start-finish line, and Dan Camish might be here subject to losing 3 more places, because Rowbottom with Cook and Hill are all starting to queue up.
Yeah, great battle heading on to the final lap of the race then for what is 5th position. But up front, Tom Ingram hasn't got any worry about that. Provisionally, if this last lap goes to plan, Tom Ingram is looking to become a 2-time champion.
He is indeed, yet 42 points clear as it currently stands, with Ingram your leader and Sutton sitting there in 2nd place. There would only be 22 points on offer for the final race of the year, and Tom Ingram has much more in terms of points available in his championship bout. He came here 33 points ahead. He is looking good with a 2.4 second lead over the rest of the pack. But Hill is not done in this battle, is he, with Josh Cook, because they continue to battle, and Dan Rowbottom in his fight for 3rd in the championship, trying to get it past his teammate Dan Camish.
Yeah, so this is going to go right to the wire between the 2 Napa Racing teammates. Remember, they're battling for 3rd in the championship as well. Dan Camish and Dan Rowbottom, Jake Hill involved in that battle as well. But Tom Ingram, 2 corners to go. 3 years ago, he won the championship.
Team to pit wall, yep. And the cheers are going to come. Look at this. They're climbing onto the gantry now. Tom Ingram last won the championship back in 2022. Things have gone well this year for Tom Ingram, and Ingram is going to be a 2-time quick fit British Touring Car champion.